Hello to everyone. This is Viewpoint on Noyan Tapan TV, and I am Benyamin Poghosyan. This week we will discuss two topics: the visit of President of the United States Biden to Middle East, and also the recent meeting between Armenian and Azerbaijani foreign ministers, which held in Tbilisi on Saturday, July 16. Let's start from the global geopolitics and US President visit to the Middle East. Mostly, the visit was perceived as an attempt by the United States President to convince Saudi Arabia to pump more oil. Given the high-level inflation in the United States, which really causes damage and also put a lot of pressure on American middle class, President Biden is keen to find new sources of oil to reduce the inflation. Biden understands very well that in the midterm elections in November 2022, the Democrats may well lose the majority in the House of Representatives, and Republicans can get even the majority in Senate. And this maybe will be a very significant point ahead of the November 2024 presidential elections in the United States. Here, of course, everything is very unclear. Nobody knows, will President Biden participate in 2024 presidential elections? If not him, who can participate as a candidate from Democrats? Would it be Vice President Kamala Harris or maybe other one? In Republican camp, everything is little less clear. If President Trump decides to run again for the office in November 2024, most probably he will do that. But in any case, the current economic problems in the United States, they do not bode well for the Democratic Party. So Biden visited Middle East, of course. He could not to be in Israel, the main US ally in the region, and also we all know how significant and powerful is the Jewish lobby in the United States. But again, the key stop was Saudi Arabia. And here there was a very interesting thing, because before elections of 2020, Biden accused the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia, Crown Prince MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, of assassination of this Saudi journalist Khashoggi, who was killed in 2018 in Saudi consulate in Turkey. And Biden even promised that he will make Saudi Arabia and MBS himself a pariah. But now he was forced to go to the Saudi Arabia to have discussions with MBS. But at the end of the day, I believe that the negotiation was not very successful, because immediately after the meetings, President Biden and also his close allies stated that yes, President Biden emphasized the issue of assassination of journalists, and President Biden directly accused Crown Prince that he believed that, okay, it was Crown Prince who was behind the assassination. And interestingly, Saudis fired back. For example, in his interview to American TV channels, Saudi foreign minister said that, okay, yes, it was a mistake. Also, Crown Prince had nothing to do with the assassination, but also Americans did a lot of mistakes. For example, the prison of Abu Ghraib in Iraq. So let's not accuse each other, because we all did mistakes. So all these discussions about the personal involvement of Crown Prince in the assassination of Khashoggi, even after the meeting between him and Biden, send a clear signal that most probably negotiations did not go very well. And also, after negotiations, we only had statements from the Saudi Arabia that yes, maybe they can increase the oil output up to 13 million barrels per day, but not immediately. But frankly speaking, this was the Saudis' positions even before Biden's visit. So most probably we may assume that President Biden could not reach its main goal during this Middle East visit, to convince or to force Saudi Arabia to pump significantly more oil, to reduce the inflation in the United States, and thus to create more favorable conditions for the Democratic Party during November 2022 midterm elections. But from Armenian point of view, it's very important to understand that even the United States, which is wealthiest democracy in the world, when there is a clear path between pure democracy, human rights, and etc., and geopolitical interests, even the United States chooses geopolitical interests, and Biden was forced to go to Saudi Arabia and meet a person whom he called the killer just a few days ago. This means that if you come to the South Caucasus and see the geopolitical situation in the South Caucasus, we should understand that Azerbaijan, who has, of course, few, but in any case has oil and gas, now, especially after in the current atmosphere of war between Russia and the West, the Azerbaijan will be perceived much positively by the West. And Azerbaijani oil, and especially the gas, can play a role in tilting the EU, the United States, and in general the West positions towards Azerbaijan. For example, today, on July 18, the President of the European Commission will visit Azerbaijan, and most probably there will be discussion on signing a new gas agreement between European Union and Azerbaijan. And we should all understand that despite all statements which we hear from European countries or European statesmen or European civil society, is that democracy, human rights are archival values of the European Union, but most probably we can assume that no one today in Baku will discuss, for example, about the implications or consequences of the 2020 war, about Azerbaijani aggression, about destruction of Armenian historical and religious monuments in the territories which are currently under Azerbaijani control. And this is a very important lesson for Armenia to listen and to hear and to study. Second issue was the Saturday meeting between Armenian and Azerbaijani foreign ministers, which took place in Tbilisi. This was the first meeting in such environment, bilateral meeting with no other person in the room, and this meeting kicks the process of the elaboration of so-called the comprehensive agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan, or as Azerbaijanis are calling it, the peace treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Because before the meeting, there was progress only in two tracks in Armenia-Azerbaijan relations: restoration of communications and start of the border delimitation and demarcation process. Nothing was happened on the third track, this comprehensive agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Now we may say that, okay, now in all three tracks we have found progress and ministers of foreign affairs met. But given the huge discrepancies between perceptions of Armenia and Azerbaijan, especially regarding the status of Nagorno-Karabakh, it's clear that the peace treaty or comprehensive treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan is not close. Because if Armenian government hints that theoretically at least he may accept the situation of Nagorno-Karabakh being the jure part of Azerbaijan de facto independence, with significant autonomy, very wide autonomy, international guarantees, permanent location of international peacekeepers, from Azerbaijani point of view, all these are rejectable. Publicly, Azerbaijan says there is no Nagorno-Karabakh at all. In non-public way, Azerbaijan hints that it may grant Nagorno-Karabakh some slight version of cultural autonomy, for example, allowing Armenians to study Armenian languages 2 or 3 times per week in schools in Stepanakert, or to allow radio in Stepanakert to also broadcast some Armenian songs maybe once per day. This is the maximum which Azerbaijan is ready to grant. And given this huge difference between very wide autonomy with the jure Azerbaijan de facto independent Nagorno-Karabakh vision and Azerbaijani vision is a no Nagorno-Karabakh or only some slight cultural autonomy for Nagorno-Karabakh, we should understand that the likelihood of signature of any agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan now is not very high. Which means that despite the first meeting, which in any case is a positive step because all meetings stabilize the situation, and I believe Armenia needs stable South Caucasus because after 2020 military disaster, Armenia is not interested in destabilized region. We need stability in every meetings, regardless it will be in Tbilisi, Brussels, Moscow, Washington, or anyone else. All these meetings are important to stabilize the situation, but we should not confuse the word stability with peace. The meetings between ministers of foreign affairs, between the Secretary of Security Council and assistant to Azerbaijani president, or even meetings between leaders itself, they can contribute to the stability, but they cannot bring the era of peace because, again, the perception of Armenia and Azerbaijan are too far away from each other. But in any case, let's see how situation will develop. And there was another very interesting episode in previous week. The director of Central Intelligence Agency visited Armenia on Friday. Of course, this is an extraordinary event, and frankly speaking, I do not believe that anything regarding Armenia starting from Armenian domestic political situation to regional security dynamics, Armenian-Azerbaijan or Armenia-Turkey relations, may bring the director of Central Intelligence Agency to Armenia. Because Armenia-Azerbaijan and Armenia-Turkey relations, as they are important for the United States. For example, we saw the very positive tweet of Secretary of State Anthony Blinken after the Mirzoyan-Bayramov meeting in Tbilisi. But again, this is not the business of director of Central Intelligence Agency to come to Armenia and, for example, discuss Armenia-Azerbaijan or Armenia-Turkey relations. So, of course, it's very difficult to assess what brought director of CIA to Armenia, Yerevan, but most probably we may assume that the key goal of the meeting was having nothing to do with Armenia or with regional security politics of South Caucasus. Thank you, and we will meet soon.